The Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association presents Matinee Madness. Matinee Madness is presented by the Ohio State University Veterinary Medical Center and Eldorado Scioto Downs. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Mercer County Fairgrounds in Celina, Ohio, as we get set for the first matinee of the season. Today, 49 horses will take the track. 21 of those are Ohio breds. I'm Frank Frost, joined by Susan Schroeder. And Susan, always a big day when you get that first matinee to start the season.
It is. It's going to be an exciting day. I was back in the barn area and look at some of those colts, and their eyes are kind of wide because they've never been away from home before, not knowing what to do.
And that's a big thing. They ship in here. It's a new setting. It's a barn. They're going behind the gate for the first time.
Yeah, it's an exciting day. They're going to grow up a lot today.
When you come to these matinees, I think we've got 6 of them scheduled in Ohio. This is the first one. Kind of kicks off the fair season, doesn't it? We're at a fairgrounds.
It does, yes. Although we don't have quite the smells that we have later on in the year, but this is a great place to be. Nice, big, wide, safe tracks. What you want for a colt.
And we're not going to see a lot of horses on the track at a time. I think the most we have is 5 in one race. A lot of times it's just 3. They're doing time bar racing, so they're all kind of equally training at the same times.
Right. It gives those colts a lot more confidence if they can be surrounded by the other horses. You don't really want one drawn off because that sort of defeats the purpose of teaching them how to race.
Well, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk to the man in charge of this matinee from the Mercer County Fairgrounds, Rusty Voris, after this message.
Your animals provide unconditional love. When they hurt, you want the best care available to help them enjoy life again. The Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center is here for you and for them. From heart disease to cancer, diabetes to broken bones, and 24-hour emergency services, Ohio State's team of experts make a difference in the lives of animals and the family members who love them. The Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center.
Welcome back to the Mercer County Fairgrounds in Celina as we talk to the man in charge of today's matinee, Rusty Voris. And Rusty, 51st time you've done this here at the Mercer County Fairgrounds and Celina. Tell me a little bit about the history of this matinee.
Well, first off, Frank, that's a pretty bold statement saying I'm the man in charge. I'm far from the man in charge. I'm just basically appointed. Somebody's got to be kind of a go-to person as far as answering questions and stuff, and that's kind of my forte or my job, but I'm far from the man in charge. This place, the Mercer County Horsemen, Harness Horsemen, everybody works hard and they kind of know their role, and it's just we get along so well, and it just works out. And on that same token, I'd like to thank the OHA to come here today. This is to kick off your 2022 Matinee Madness. I look forward to seeing this on the computer here in a few days. So I guess I'm going to circle back. What was the question again?
Talk a little bit about the history and what it means to really kick off the fair season.
Yeah, this is a nice deal. We did this, well, the organization was set up in the early 70s, and I was just a teenager back then, or maybe even before teenager, maybe an adolescent. And I can remember coming out here, and there were some old programs setting around that there was, instead of the time bars, there was conditions, there was 2 heat races, there was comebacks, like in the old days, you know, you'd race in the 4th and come back in the 7th or 8th, you know, but those days are long gone by, and we just graduated, and it's just a great thing to get the 2-year-olds to come out here and get some gate experience, and it's just a good day. So, how
many horsemen do you have stabled on the grounds, and how many horses do you have here right now?
Well, we don't have all that many, maybe a half a dozen or so horsemen. Phil Ballinger from Canada, he's our biggest stable here. He, at any given time, he's got anywhere from 10 to 15 horses. He runs a claiming operation over here that he has horses always kind of in transit, coming and going, but he's our biggest. And I'm just kind of looking down at the barn area kind of in my own mind. There's probably a half a dozen, 8 horsemen, probably 10 at the most stables down here. Probably 30 horses maybe. But I can remember we used to have, 60 or 80 horses, you know. But as times went on, the owners have kind of went away, and the prices of the horses has gone up. It used to be years ago, one guy would go to the sale in the fall and buy a horse for $1,500. Well, those days are long gone. Now 4 or 5 guys go to a sale and put $5,000 in a piece and come back with one for $20,000. So it's the cost of racing has gone up as the purses have gone up. So it's not that crowded up here in Celina, but it's well. I mean, we take care of the place, and it's running smoothly.
Well, you take care of the place. You just built a brand new barn. Talk about that partnership that it took to put that new barn up.
Yeah, that was, well, actually it was an old barn. There's 2 barns down there, and years ago it was an art hole, and they busted it in half, cut it in half. One half's on one side, as you can see later, and the other half was the top. And the stalls, the outside was in good shape. In fact, the Horseman back started in 1998 or 99, residing the barns, and they all, every year they did a job and did a barn, and it took probably 10 years to do all the barns, but they all got new roofs, new windows, and new siding on them, and I'd rank them with any barn in the state of Ohio. I mean, as far as the looks of them, the outside, but the insides, we didn't do anything, and the stalls were starting to get, as horses chew and carry on, and just general wear and tear. We just decided to do the one barn. In fact, it's the one Phil is in now over there, and they put all new stalls in, gutted the whole thing, raised the floor up, put new dirt, and compacted it, and put new stalls in, and they just finished up with it. And that was a joint effort between the Mercer County Harness Horsemen, the Mercer County Fair Board, and the OHHA. We got a grant, and it's just everybody put together. I think there was like a $30,000 total cost in the whole thing, so we all kicked in $10,000, and there was money left over, and I think they're going to tackle the next barn to the south of it there and do that one sometime after this matinee. They got some materials purchased, so they're just waiting for the matinee to get over, and they're going to tear into it, and that should be the next project.
Well, the next big thing here will be the fair when that comes up. What makes the Mercer County Fair so good?
Well, the Mercer County Fair so good, I really don't know. I mean, it's been here forever. I mean, and I've been around here forever. But I've got an old coin that old Dan Patch was out here in 1906, and they exhibitioned him out here, and I think he only went a mile in 2:07. I went up to the library, and some of the newspaper reports weren't all that well. The people weren't impressed with a 2:07 mile by Dan Patch. But yeah, it's been here for 100 years, and it's a small time. Everybody knows each other. I mean, everybody is friends with each other or can get along with each other, put it that way. I mean, you know how things are. But yeah, it just kind of runs smooth. And the fair board here, can't talk good enough about those. I mean, the horsemen and fair board get along like Forrest Gump says, peas and carrots. I mean, there's no arguing in-house arguing or anything. The horsemen know they need the fair board. The fair board knows they need the horses.
Well, it's a great relationship there. I want to thank you for stopping by as we get set to kick off our Matinee Madness with our first race today. Thank you, and we look forward to being back out here again later this summer when the fair is here and we're racing for real.
And like I said earlier, thanks for coming out and kicking off Matinee Madness. And like I also said on the phone to you, since we're so close to Indiana, we get a lot of Indiana horses. I mean, we're not swamped with Ohio horses to feature in the OHA Facebook page, but they don't have such things over there, so they kind of take advantage of us over here. So
always nice to help our neighbors.
Yep, thank you. Yep, you're correct.
Well, let's get ready for the first race today.
Thank you, Frank. We are getting ready here at Celina for the first race, which is a 2:15 to 2:10 trot. Number 1 horse is Swanderful Pearls, a swan for all out of Southwind Pearl, be driven today by Doug Rideout. The 2 horse Knockout Hill is a What the Hill out of Knockout Doll and will be driven by Ty Bates. The 3 horse Swan We Go will be driven by Chris Hope, and that is a Swan in a Million colt out of a mare called Come On We Go. All 3 of these horses were purchased at a public auction. And Swanderful Pearls was a $35,000 purchase. Knockout Hill, a $15,000 purchase at the Lexington Select Sale. And Swan We Go, an $11,000 purchase at the Buckeye Classic.
Knockout Hill, the only Ohio bred in this first race, sired by What the Hill from the Hickory Lane Farms. In fact, Knockout Hill, the sire, the mighty, the sire, What the Hill, sired the Mighty Hill, who is the 2-year-old trotting colt of the year in Ohio. And that horse, $15,000 they paid for him at the Lexington sale.
Yeah, we'll see. Today it'll be interesting, as an old horseman would say, these colts don't know how much you paid for them. So you can have some expensive horses out here or some that were even not bought at a public auction, and they do really, really well. And
today we're going to see, a little bit of that. We've got one sire here that sires one horse a year, and that's it. We'll talk about that a little later. But now let's pick up the action in the first race.
They're at 3/4. Swanderful Pearls, the leader. But here comes Knockout Hill on the outside. The 2-year-old colt by What the Hill. And Ty Bates draws up alongside the leader. Swan We Go now only 8 lengths off the lead. They arrive at the top of the stretch. 3/4 in 1:47. They're off the turn. They're on their way home. Swanderful Pearls the inside. Knockout Hill. Swan We Go stride for stride in the front end. Swan We Go with a lot of trot on the outside. Knockout Hill. Here's the line. It is Knockout Hill, Swanderful Pearls, and Swan We Go.
Well, the first race is in the books. Knockout Hill wins it by a head over Swanderful Pearls, with Swan We Go finishing third. And Swan We Go broke early in that race, but picked up and made up a lot of ground at the end of that race.
A lot of ground. And Knockout Hill just sat real patient in the pocket and pulled out around the last turn and came on and just won. It was a great experience for those 3 horses.
Well, and that's what this is all about, is giving them a little bit of experience. We're seeing them behind the gate for the first time. Mike Wilkenberg takes them around one time, and then they come around a second time, and they get set to go. So we're getting ready to start. Go ahead.
For those statistical people who want to know how fast they went,
there you go.
39 to the quarter, 1:13 and 2 to the half, 1:47 and a mile in 2:19 and 2.
And that was the first one. The second race this time, we've got 4 in this race. 2 of them are Ohio breds. The number 1 is Harpoon Harry, which was a Rockin' Amadeus. Number 2, Pop of an Era. Number 3, Don't Go Baking My Heart, a Western Vintage. That's an Ohio bred. And number 4, Always a Pro by Always a Virgin.
And the first horse, Harpoon Harry, this is his first start, but the other 3 have raced a little bit. I was back in the barn area talking to Bruce Forker, and he was telling me that Don't Go Baking My Heart, she raced a little bit last year. She had knee surgery before the season started last year, and she just needed some experience last year and got that, and is smoothed out a lot this year. And back in that barn area, Brantley, his grandson, and Brittany's daughter were back there taking care of these horses.
Made 7 starts last year. The best finish was 4th, 4 times finish, and earned $1,831. Let's pick up the action for race number 2.
3/4, 1:39. They circle the far turn on the outside. Don't Go Baking My Heart, putting the pressure on the leader. Pop of an Air there as a team as they turn for home. Always a Pro on the outside third. Harpoon Harry shuffled to 4th. They're inside the final 16th. It is Pop of an Era. Don't Go Baking My Heart. One final surge on the line. May have been Pop of an Air by a short nose over Don't Go Baking My Heart.
Another close one by a nose. That time it was Pop of an Era with Dalton Walls driving. Just edging Don't Go Baking My Heart, who finished second. Always a Pro was third. Harpoon Harry finished 4th.
You know, I could hear somebody yelling over in there, "Come on, Bakey, come on, Bakey." And I looked up, and it was Brantley Forker, the grandson of Bruce Forker, who trains Don't Go Baking My Heart. So he was very excited, and after the race he said, "That was a good job."
So he finished second. $12,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic yearling sale. First, though, Pop of an Era by J.K. Endofinera out of Pop Queen was the winner in that race. Now, that time the time bar was 2:10, to 2:15, and they went a little bit quicker. They went 2:08 and 2/3.
Yeah, they did, but they came a fairly steady mile, not too fast at any certain time. So it was a nice race for everybody.
And that's what they're trying to do out here, is just try to stay clean,
Yeah.
try to mind their manners, as you hear so many trainers
Yes.
tell you. They got to mind their manners. And so far they have, except in that first race, but that horse then came back to mind his manners.
Yeah. And minding your manners is probably the most important thing at this point. Speed will come later, but they got to behave themselves.
And that's probably what a trainer is out here looking for. Just give me a good, solid performance. Don't get scared behind the gate. Have a good experience,
Right.
because you don't want a bad experience when you have things like that.
Yep. That's key.
So we're getting ready for the third race. This time we're going to have the Pacers out on the track. They are going to go in a time of 2 minutes and 10 seconds. We have 3 in this race. The number 1, Bad Image. The number 2 is Noble Ponderosa. And the number 3, Vel Bud.
Yep, we haven't gotten any driver changes yet, so we're
Clint
thinking.
Coy scheduled to be on Bad Image. Ty Bates on Noble Ponderosa, and Brad Ferguson will be behind Vel Bud. Only one Ohio bred in this race, and that is Noble Ponderosa, sired by the Ponderosa. And that horse, the Noble Ponderosa, owned by 4 owners: Susanna Bates of Gibsonburg, Ohio, Mark Ryder of Helena, Ohio, Lewis Palmer of Woodville, Ohio, and Stephen Holbrook of Fremont, Ohio. And you see a lot of that. You see a lot of people getting into the game, into groups to buy horses. There you've got 4 different owners, and we see a lot about fractional ownership that's now coming into it.
I think that a lot of times you talk about how they're spreading out the costs and everything, but I really think it's the partying. I think they're all getting together because they all want to have a big old party when that horse races.
Well, one of the things you want to is if you have a good showing out at the track and you have your friends there, and you get a winner, it's nice being in that winner's circle having a good time, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's, you notice that we saw that a lot last year with the stable.ca, how many people were there and what a good time they had, and you meet new friends that way too. So I think it is a great, not only the fractional ownerships, but just the partnerships are a great way to own a horse.
Well, the sire of the second horse in this is the Ponderosa, and, one of Ohio's sires, and Ohio really is starting to step up with some of the sires. You take a look at what Down by the Seaside did last year, and
Right.
we'll see a Down by the Seaside 2-year-old a little later in the show.
Yeah, it is amazing how much, and not only the quantity or the quality of stallions that are coming in, but the good mares that are coming in. I mean, you see people out at Harrisburg and so forth buying these mares and bringing them to Ohio that are just fantastic mares.
Well, let's pick up the action in the next race.
Enter off. Bad Image from the inside. Far outside is Vel Bud and Brad Ferguson. Into the turn, Noble Ponderosa comes out in second, and Vel Bud makes a miscue. They're into the far turn, and Bad Image has the field by 3/4 in 1:42 and 4. Midway round the turn, they're at the top of the stretch. Noble Ponderosa to the outside. Vel Bud is third. Coming to the line, Bad Image drawing away and drawing clear with every stride.
The third race is in the books, a time of 2 minutes and 11 seconds and 4/5 for the winner, Bad Image. Noble Ponderosa was second, and Vel Bud finished third. And there was an example of we talking about minding your manners. Vel Bud, right from the start, made the break as the gate pulled away. And at that point, you just want to get the horse back on stride and just get the work in.
Right. You could tell that colt was really fired up behind the gate. So he either had never seen it before or he had seen it before. It's hard to tell, but he was fired up. And
you get to places like this, they've never seen a lot of the things here. So every sight, every sound, every smell is something new for these young horses.
Yep. It's always amazing. When you think about it, all that they have to process, it's amazing that they do as well as they do, because they have to process a lot of stuff in one day.
Well, the winner, though, was Bad Image out of Rockin' Image, out of the mare Bad Lightning, a 2-year-old filly. Clint Coy was the driver. Second was Noble Ponderosa by the Ponderosa. That was a purchase for $11,000 at the Blooded Horse Sale, and that's one of those ones that they don't know how much they were spent for, or
That's
where they
right.
came from, do they?
No, they do not. And they all three of those horses paced well. It was unfortunately that the Velbud made a break, but they all did well.
Well, we're going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll have race 4 for you from the Mercer County Fairgrounds. You're watching Matinee Madness on the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association Facebook page.
Racing is back at Eldorado Scioto Downs. Catch the excitement all summer long. Live racing every Tuesday through Saturday afternoon. First post time is 3:15. Mark your calendar to see the future stars with a $150,000 Next Generation July 4th. 2-year-old trotters and pacers begin their careers in the Next Generation. Horse players earn points with a new Caesars Reward program. Eldorado Scioto Downs. Live racing is back.
Okay, welcome back to the Mercer County Fair. The matinees are here at Celina's getting ready to get started, and we're with a man who doesn't need any introduction to anybody who is in Ohio because this guy is everywhere. Mike Wilkenberg. Can you tell us what is a little bit different about starting these matinees than a race later on in the summer?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. What is so good about these matinees? This is probably the most exciting time of the year because you get to see these babies. They bought them a year ago, and now we're going to see them in some semblance of competition. But starting the matinee is very, very different than a horse race because my goal is to give these horses a very, very good experience behind the gate, because if they have a bad experience now, that can affect their career later on in their life. So we try to do everything we can to make this a very, very good experience for them. Well, we will take them around the racetrack probably 4 times, let them get used to it. We go at a very slow rate so they can catch it. They don't have to strain. The key to these things is they're not at home. They came to a new place. They're seeing the starting gate. They smell different horses. They hear different people. There's different sounds. There's all kinds of different things on the racetrack. It's such a great education system for these horses. And it is so hard for the public to understand that these horses in August of last year could lead on a lead shank, and that was all they can do. Now they can probably pace in 15 or 20. And in another 6 weeks, they're going to be going in 2 minutes. Unbelievable, the learning process of these babies. We just have to help them along that way of education.
And we noticed on the program that these races are what I would call time bars, that they're going to go in a certain time. So they put horses together. Can you explain a little bit about that, how that works?
When they set these races up, they try to set them up so that horses of like speeds that have trained like speeds are together. You really don't want somebody winning by 30 lengths. You want them all together because you want these horses to learn that they are in a horse race. They don't know that, most of them. Most of them, if they've trained with one other horse, that's probably a lot. So it's such a big education process.
Yeah, and so important, like you said, to get them a really good first experience. Well, I talked to a guy back at the barn, and his horse has never been on the track with another horse. Oh, yeah. So it's really exciting day for that one.
But you have to understand, so many of these guys are training at a county fair that's maybe got 3 yearlings, or 2, and somebody works and they're doing this as a hobby, and having a group of horses is very difficult for them. That's why this is such a beneficial thing to them. It's also a neat thing for the public because the public can literally come here, walk right into the barn area and pet that horse and talk to that horse and talk to the owner. And hopefully we lead that right on into the fairs where they can do it as well. Our county fair system is so good because we allow people to interact with these individuals. And look, the horses are our stars. We got to make these people realize what unbelievable equine athletes they are.
And you never know what kind of a star you're going to see here. No. Some baby here is going to go on, and one of these might win the Ohio Sire Stakes in October.
Right now they're unbeaten. This is the only time of the year that you've got an unbeaten baby. Now, come on. You got to be proud. He's unbeaten.
How great is that?
That may change, though, because most of them get beat eventually.
Well, that gives you a little background on how matinee races differ from the races that you'll see this summer at the fair. So thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Susan. Let's get set now for the fourth race from the Mercer County Fairgrounds. 4 in this race. We have 2 two-year-old fillies, a 2-year-old colt, and a 2-year-old gelding. Vel Straight Fun is one of the fillies, as is Vel Right Down by Alley. And the 2-year-old colt is Whiskey Charlie. That is an Ohio bred by Nob Hill High. And the number 4 is BR Mission, a well-said 2-year-old gelding. Susan?
I was back at the barn talking to Bruce Forker and his family about BR Mission, and I asked him what this colt was like, and he says he's kind of ornery in the barn, but out on the track he's really good. But he has not been on the track more than a couple of times with another horse, and that was only one other horse. So he's very excited and concerned about how he's going to do today. I asked him why he picked out this well-said colt, and something very interesting is this horse's Grand Dam. So BR Mission's Grand Dam was bred to well said at one time and had a horse that got a mark of 49. So when Bruce saw that, he liked that cross a lot and thought that he would buy this colt. Bruce trains at night. He works in the lab at BF Goodrich, which I kind of was interesting. He tests the rubber that they use for tires. When they come up with a new concoction, he tests that out to make sure it's all okay. So he works 12-hour days and then comes home and trains these horses at night.
And see, a lot of people think that the trainers of these horses, that's their full-time job. Now, for some it is,
Yes.
but for some other ones, it's, more of a hobby or a second job.
Right. It's their passion. And that's the passion is what allows you to go to the barn after you've been in the factory or in your job for 12 hours, and then you still go out to the barn and brings a smile to your face.
Probably that stress level drops a whole
Yes.
lot more. So, well said is, interesting is a pacer, but he does have one trotter. So that raced, and it's kind of interesting that you would have a pacer that, somehow turned into a trotter along the lines. So the best horse that Well Said has ever sired is My Hero Ron, won $1.2 million, was foaled in 2012, and is still racing right now. So a 10-year-old out there on the track, My Hero Ron, just will continue to add to that. So let's pick up the action in the fourth race.
They're into the far turn. They're off 3/4 in 143 and 2, and the pressure's on the outside from Whiskey Charlie. Vel Right Down by Alley. Whiskey Charlie scooting up the inside is BR Mission. Vel Straight Fun wide for Brad Ferguson. For him across the track, it is Vel Alley. Whiskey Charlie coming to the line, almost there. Vel Right Down by Alley. Photo for win.
Well, that was a great fourth race here at the Mercer County Fairgrounds. You said it gave you goosebumps, didn't you?
It did. After as many years I've been watching horses, you'd think I'd get over that. But that was exciting at the end. All them little colts just trying their hearts out.
Well, and that's the thing. 2-year-olds, first time on the track, really racing something, all of them giving it their everything to get to that line.
Yep.
And it was Vel Right Down by the Alley, just winning it by the photo, as Doug Ballinger said, even though we don't have a photo finish here today. But they made it official. Vel Right Down by Alley was your winner. Vel Straight Fun finished second. So just another one of those really great races right in the middle of the time bar, too.
Yeah. 2:12
and 2. They were going 2:10 to 2:15.
Yep, and coming last quarter in 29 seconds flat.
That's flying.
That was great. Whiskey Charlie ended up third, and BR Mission was fourth. But they were all within, I'm going to say, a length and a half of each other.
If even that much. So even the fourth place finish looked like it was up on the wheel of the winner.
Yep.
So just a great fourth race. And now we get set to take a look at the fifth race. This fifth race has 3 Ohio breds in the race, including one that is sired by Chief Silverheels, which is a very interesting story because Chief Silverheels just covers one mare a year, it seems like.
Yeah. Yep, he has not had many foals at all, and what surprised the heck out of me when I first looked at it, I said, my gosh, so his foals have won $600 and some thousand, but he had one outstanding horse that made $500 and some thousand, but
an Ohio
we'll
bred.
See how Sally Sue is here today.
Yep, owned by Eleanor Collier out of Vandalia, Ohio, and you talk about that one, it was Ira Chief, foaled in 2009. As a 5-year-old, went 150-1 and won $516,000. Had a second earner of over $100,000, and that was Indian Hero, who earned $109,000. So has been able to throw out some big money winners.
Yep. This race 5 coming up is a 225 to 230 pace, and Awesome Rock, and Always a Virgin colt, has the rail. Driver Jerry Schwartz. Western Vengeance of Western Vintage Colt has a 2-hole, and that great driver TBA is.
He's
we
back
see him
again for another year.
Always shows up at the matinees. Sally Sue has the 3-hole, and that's the Chief Silver Heels filly, with Brad Ferguson up, and Wiggling Heart and Ty Bates come out of the 4-hole, and that is a Mr. Wiggles filly.
And Heart Escape, Wiggling Heart is the 8th foal by Heart Escape. The best foal was Ken Cam, won 24 times, earned over $250,000, and paced in 150-1.
We talk about names at some point always during the summer, and I just saw that this was the cutest thing. This 2-horse Western Vengeance mother is called Laugh Away. She is out of a mare called Try Laughing, who is by Die Laughing, so her name is Laugh Away, and her first foal they called Wiggle It Till You Jiggle It. So pretty good names.
Now, have you ever named horses in
Yes.
all your years?
Yes.
What goes into naming a horse? What are some of the things you talk about with your group, you discuss?
Depends what time of the night you're talking about, because some of these naming parties go on a long time and they get sillier and sillier as the night goes on. But a lot of the bigger farms, they will start the name of the colt after the first letter in the mare's name, or a lot of the bigger farms, they have systems. A lot of people just have fun with it.
And you can change a horse's name until the first time it races.
Till the first
so
it races,
if you
yeah.
buy one that hasn't raced yet and you don't like the name, you're free to change the horse's name if you want.
There are specific rules, and there actually is a committee. When you submit a name to the United States Trotting Association, it goes through a committee. It goes through the computer program first, and it has all these algorithms that see if it's been used before. As there are certain rules that it can't be used within a certain amount of time, and any horse that was famous or won this or that, you can't name it that. But it's and then anything that's questionable goes to a human committee, and they make that decision.
And you see some of these names that you come up with now. You see some people naming it after characters in movies. You'll see named after songs. Smooth as Tennessee Whiskey, named after the Chris Stapleton song. Shane Falco is named after the fictional Ohio State quarterback in the movie The Replacements. So there's a lot of different names that you can have, but you can only have so many letters too.
That's right. And now when they squish everything together and there's no spaces, sometimes you look at those and you think, oh my gosh, what does this say?
Those are announcer nightmares.
Yes.
when you get that, because you're trying to figure out where the break was and everything. And you know who else that's a nightmare for? The writers who are trying to write stories about them, and spell check, it keeps popping up. So you got to make sure you got it correct. You put it into your spell check, and then you hope that you get the name the proper way. The rest
I
of
have had trouble with Smooth as Tennessee Whiskey because it's not exactly how it sounds, because they had to cut out some vowels, I think. And so, those are difficult.
Well, this is getting ready for race 5. We've got 4 to head to the gate behind the Mike Wilkenberg starting gate. So let's head on out and pick up the action for race number 5.
They're into the far turn. They arrive at 3/4, 150 2/5, and Western Vengeance leads it by 2 with Awesome Rock in tow second. Wiggling Heart will come to the outside for Ty Bates. He shoved 3 wide off the turn. Sally Sue is 4th. 2-year-olds turn for home. Western Vengeance, Awesome Rock, Wiggling Heart dives back to the inside. It is Western Vengeance, Awesome Rock coming to the line. Western Vengeance, Awesome Rock, Wiggling Heart, and Sally Sue in that order.
Race 5 in the book. They went a little faster than the 225 to 230 time bar, going in 222 and 2. And it was funny as they started. You heard Mike Wilkenberg say, "Don't rush out of here. You got a 225 to a 230 time bar on this one."
Giving them that little extra reminder.
And the winner, Western Vengeance, was the winner by Western Vintage out of Laughaway. The second foal by Laughaway was the winner. Number 2 was Awesome Rock. Third was Wiggling Heart. And fourth, Sally Sue in that race.
And Western Vengeance is owned, trained, and driven by Mike Lee.
And a bunch of people down in the winner's circle to get their picture for him. And that's one of the nice things, too, you know. It might be the only race this horse ever wins. You don't know, but you've got something to remember it by. You hope this is the string, because as we were talking to somebody earlier today, right now, every horse coming on the track from here on the rest of the day, they're undefeated. They've never lost. Only one in each race is going to be able to say that they're still undefeated, has never lost, and, you know, continues on through this. So now we're going to get ready now for our 6th race here at the Mercer County Fairgrounds in Celina, and this will have a 2:15 to 2:20 time bar for a pace. We have 3 horses in this race. The number 1, Color Me Up, the number 2, Vel My Luck Panther, and the number 3, Winter Love.
I was back in the barn area talking to Gig Davis about Winter Love, and this horse had quite a story. Winter Love's mother died when Winter Love was only 5 weeks old, and he wasn't quite sure what to do with her. He tried to find some nurse mares and so forth, but that didn't work out. So he had a gelding pony at home for the grandkids, and he put this filly in with the pony, and they adopted each other. Gig fed her milk supplements, because of course you couldn't get any milk from the pony. But the pony offered this filly the companionship and taught it how to grow up, taught it how to be a horse. So it was a great story. He also said that the mare that this one is out of, the Boogie Woogie Love that unfortunately passed away, was really a hard luck horse. She had her first start, won her first start, and then shortly after that he was on the way to the veterinarians, and they got hit by an 18-wheeler. So Gig and the horse were out of commission for quite a while. And then he decided to breed her because Gig couldn't train right then. So he decided to breed her, and then unfortunately she passed away. So we're hoping for much better for Winter Love.
And a little sidebar on that breeding, was bred to Well Said the first time, did not take. Second time, also. Third time breeding to Well Said, finally gets one to the track.
Yeah.
So, and then now, you know, passes away. So, you know, Winter Love now gets to carry on that legacy of you know, the hard luck mom, Boogie Woogie Love. So.
And Gig's grandson Wyatt was in the barn helping take care of him. And also something was really interesting. There was a wooden shaft race bike parked outside that barn, and that's Gig's bike, and it was polished up, looked like wonderful, but I haven't seen a wooden shaft race bike around for a long time.
Well, we'd be remiss if we didn't even say, too, that Gig kind of has a part here at the OHHA. Matt Clark, our newest employee, his mother is Gig's cousin.
Yeah.
So it was a little family reunion back in the barn before we got starting out here today. So so hopefully, you know, everything's going for Winter Love today. And this is the first race, but we'll have to see what happens. So let's pick up the action in race number 6.
They're at 3/4 in 140. They're into the final turn, and the leader is Vel My Luck Panther. Color Me Up is second. Winter Love is third. They circle the far turn, and here comes Color Me Up to the outside. Vel My Luck Panther to the inside. Color Me Up draws up alongside. They're stride for stride. They're inside the final 16th. Vel My Luck Panther. Color Me Up. Too little, too late. It is Vel My Luck Panther.
The winner of the 6th, the number 2, Vel My Luck Panther, owned by Alvin Schwartz, trained by Brad Ferguson. Second went to Color Me Up, owned and trained by Mike Lee, and finishing third was Winter Love. Gig Davis, the trainer, Carol Davis out of Van Wert, Ohio, the owner, and Color Me Up just really wanted to get to that line. He kind of tried to dig in, broke stride a little bit coming down to the end, and just really lucky to stay up.
Yeah, made a little misstep there, and but Mike Lee had a good hold of him, which you always want to do with these colts. You always want to have what we call a good hold.
2:11 and change, and a 2:15, 2:20 pace, so a little quicker than they want it to go. But you're training at a certain time, and what you want to do is you want to try to increase their stamina a little bit and drop that time a little bit. And you don't want to drop it by big margins, do you?
No. Most people drop very slowly, so that they get used to it. And a lot of trainers, and way I used to do it too, was you drop a few seconds here, but then the next time you train, you go back a little bit slower. Then you drop a little bit. You don't drop every single time, because that's a little bit hard on them.
And then you're also training in a jog car too, and then when you put them in a race bike, they get quicker just because of the poundage of the weight of the bike, and it's so much easier on them, the race bikes, isn't it?
Yeah, and I still come back to, somebody said a long time ago, it's the bearings. The bearings in the race bikes are a whole lot smoother flowing than the ones in the old jog carts. I've got an interesting story later on in the program about how a race bike can change a horse.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the 7th race today from the Mercer County Fairgrounds here in Celina, Ohio. As we get set, we've got 5, the most horses we will have in a race. Again, we've got 4 2-year-olds, but we have a 3-year-old filly in this race as well. The number 1, If Not For You, is a 2-year-old gelding by You Know You Do. Number 2, that's the 3-year-old filly, Brookview Catch by Swan for All. Talent Scout, the number 3 by Swan for All. Second Swan for All sired horse in this race. Number 4 is Domer by What the Hill, one of 2 Ohio breds. And the 5th race is Spiritual Speedster, a 2-year-old colt by Southwind Spirit.
The 4-horse Domer was a $12,000 Ohio select sale purchase. And I found something interesting about Spiritual Speedster is a nice mare. Ornella Dream is the mare for Spiritual Speedster, and that mare was almost $148,000 winner. And Southwind Spirit, who you don't hear a lot about, but that horse himself had a 2-year-old mark of 154. That's pretty good.
And also, you take a look at Domer, the mare Eden's Mardi Gras. It's a 7th foal. Has been bred to full count 8 times. It's almost like the 2 are married.
Yeah.
That's highly unusual that you would keep breeding back to the same stallion, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes a lot of people want to jump around, especially when a new stallion comes out. You're thinking, oh, this one might be a little bit better, so you jump. But sometimes you get that great matchup, and so you want to stick with it. And
that's what they've done, is 8 times Eden's Mardi Gras has been bred to full count. So 6 races are in the books from the Mercer County Fairgrounds here in Celina. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll pick up with race number 7 after this message.
Athletes, they come in all shapes and sizes. They catch, they leap, they run. Some athletes even come with 4 legs and paws and hooves. When these beloved family members need care, remember the Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center. Ohio State experts wrote the book on exceptional animal care and know how to get our best friends back on their feet. The Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center.
Racing is back at Eldorado Scioto Downs. Catch the excitement all summer long. Live racing every Tuesday through Saturday afternoon. First post time is 3:15. Mark your calendar to see the future stars with a $150,000 Next Generation July 4th. 2-year-old trotters and pacers begin their careers in the next generation. Horse players earn points with a new Caesars Reward program. Eldorado Scioto Downs. Live racing is back.
Welcome back to the Mercer County Fairgrounds in Celina, Ohio, joined now by the voice of the Mercer County Fairgrounds and harness racing, Doug Ballinger. Doug, how you doing today?
A good day, Frank. It's a gorgeous day for a matinee.
You got to love just doing what you do. How long have you been doing it?
This is my 53rd year. I told my wife when I walked out the door a half hour ago, this is my 53rd year. Something that started as a hobby here in Roger Houston back in 1969 has turned into a pretty good part-time job.
How many fairs are you doing now?
I do about 15 Ohio County fairs.
All west side of the state pretty much?
Yes, pretty much so. Mainly the Ohio Colt Racing circuit, mainly.
What's the best part about your job?
The people.
the people. Just like getting to see you guys today. You know, it's probably 6 months now, and here we are again.
As an announcer, certain things always stand out and stick with you over 53 years. What's been the one thing that whenever you think about 53 years pops in your mind first?
Well, the first thing would be I was probably 16 years old or 18 years old in 1970. One of the first matinees we had here, and Rambling Willie made his first career start here. He was owned right west of here in Indiana by a guy by the name of Raymond Gibson. He finished 5th in 2:23. Rambling Willie did. I called his first race.
And knowing that he finished 5th at 2:23, didn't think he had much of a career, did you?
No. Went on to make out, probably $2 million, $3 million in his lifetime, which if it would be today, if it had been 25, 30 years later, it would have been $7 million, you know. He would have been right up there with the richest.
Being around this sport, this matinee, this is, I believe, the 51st year that they've done it here.
Yes.
At Mercer County. What does it mean to kind of kick off the harness racing season for the fairs?
You know, it is. It's really the way it should be, I guess. The Reds, they always had the home opener, always. Mercer County, they've had probably the longest matinee run of anybody. I mean, years ago, Troy had a matinee I would do, Urbana, and then they went away from the matinee for several years. This will be about their 3rd year back. Xenia had matinees when I used to call the fair there, Wapak, Lima. Actually, that's where I called my first race, was a matinee at Lima.
A lot of history in this fairgrounds, isn't there?
A lot of history in this fairgrounds. We had a great driver, and a lot of the old-timers out here listening to this clip today will know the name of Irv Samples. He was from a near town here from Rockford, Ohio. He actually didn't get into the harness racing business till his late 40s. And he was the leading driver year after year, just like a Brett Miller, a Tyler Smith, a Chris Page at Scioto back in the 50s and 60s. He had 2 great trotters for Steiner Stock Farm, Lil Rodney that would race in the Invitational Trot every week at Scioto, and the Preferred Trot back at that time. He had a mare called Hassie Blaze. And I can still remember it was in August of 1970, I believe it was, that he got his 1,000th win here, which 1,000 wins back then was quite a few, because at Scioto, you know, he might only drive 5 races a night. It wasn't like they drive every race now. And he got his 1,000th win here, and I can still remember the mare called Ensign Leah. And I was taking care of a horse where he got his 999th win that night and his 1,001st by the name of Good Policy. Back then they had heat racing.
How does it all stick in your mind? I mean, you're naming, you know, mares, you're naming drivers from that. How does it all stick in your mind?
Well, I have a good memory, my wife says, for horse racing, but when she asks me to do something, my memory's not there. You know, so I don't know. It's just something that you're gifted with. I feel I wish I could call a race like a lot of race announcers. I feel what makes me who I am. I feel I do a decent job is my voice. I've been blessed with a good voice, I feel, and I've been told that, and a good memory.
Is there a certain style you like to use when you're delivering the race to the fans?
Oh, most definitely. Who do you think it is? Roger Houston. I mean, I can go back, tell the story again. In 1969, I was taking care of a horse here in Celina, helping groom him by the name of Catfish. He was going to race at the Champaign County Fair in Urbana. I get there, and, you know, he might have been in the 3rd or 4th race, and I hear this voice coming across the speaker. And it's Roger Houston, and I've never heard of Roger Houston. And it's a voice like no other. I mean, it just got to me, and I knew right then I was going to be a race announcer. And that Catfish won that night, and he sent a tape to the owners where they could buy a tape recorder of the race. A 6-horse field, Planet J, Catfish, Good Air. That's 3 of them, and I could call that race, and I would race right here at this fairground on my bicycle the rest of that summer calling that race. And the following year, it was just by luck. I was at Scioto Downs working for Samples, taking care of horses, and I got to announce the qualifiers. Well, after I announced 2, back then they didn't wear colors. They wore helmets and just a head number. And it was tough, and I knew I was bad. After I announced 2, I was walking out of the stands, and here walked a guy, and his name was Roger Houston. He happened to be there. It was supposed to happen. Jogging horses for a guy by the name of Mark Ferguson. And Roger started to work with me, and I was the first one he ever started, and I think Sam McKee was the second. Everybody knows Sam McKee, a Hall of Famer. But I can always say that Roger Houston gave me my start. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wouldn't be for Roger. We winter in Florida because of this job. I wouldn't be able to do that. So I owe so much to Roger Houston, and Roger, we know what he is. That's for harness racing.
That we do. And with that, we're going to let you get back to work today here and have some good calls.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay, we are back for the 7th race. This is a 2:15 trot, and there's 5 horses in it. This is our biggest field of today. The one horse is If Not For You. It's a You Know You Do gelding. Doug Rideout will be driving. 2 horses, Brookview Catch. This is a 3-year-old, but making its first start. S. Christner will be driving. This is a Swan for All. The 3 is another Swan for All, Talent Scout. And Doug Rideout's down to drive this one too, but I doubt if that's going to happen. The 4 horse is an Ohio bred, a What the Hill, named Domer. And this horse was a $12,000 purchase out of the Ohio Select Sale. And the 5 horse is Spiritual Speedster. Tony Price is down to drive, and this is a Southwind Spirit.
And Southwind Spirit, as a 2-year-old, had a very good mark of 154. And the mare for this horse was pretty good herself.
Yeah, she earned $147,915, so almost $148,000. So that's I'd keep her and breed her too.
Domer is by What the Hill, Spiritual Speedster, Southwind Spirit. Let's pick up the action for race number 7.
Up the backside of the 3/4, Brookview Cash with the lead. Here comes Doug Rideout and Talent Scout. Domer locked in 3rd, 4th on the outside. If Not For You, Spiritual Speedster, the miscue, trails the field a distant 5th. They're into the far turn. Brookview Catch, 145 around the far turn. Brookview Cash, the leader. Talent Scout is 2nd. 3rd is Domer. If Not For You is 4th. Spiritual Speedster is 5th. They're off the turn. They're on their way home. Brookview Cash leads the way. Talent Scout is 2nd. Coming to the line, Scott Christner and Brookview Catch to take the 7th.
The winner of the 7th was Brookview Catch by Swan for All. 2nd, also a Swan for All. Talent Scout finishes 2nd. 3rd, it was If Not For You. Domer was 4th, and Spiritual Speedster was 5th. They went in 2:16, just a second off the 2:15 time bar for the trot.
Yeah, but that eventual winner, Brookview Catch, made a huge move at the half. They all trotted really nicely off the gate, and they kind of went in single alignment. And then when he pulled him out at coming to the half, that colt flew. He looked really good. Mile in first quarter was in 35-1, 111-2 to the half, 145 and 216.
The only 3-year-old in the field. Do you think that made a difference?
Well, probably a little bit older, but also first start. So it's not like that horse has been around. But it's kind of like having a 6-year-old in kindergarten and a 5-year-old. The 6-year-old is going to be a little bit more mature.
A little more mature, a little more seasoned, just being around the barn, seeing everything that's going on. So that's race 7. Let's take a look now at our 8th race of the day, and we have 3 in this race. One of them an Ohio bred, the number 1 horse, Monaco Hanover by Well Said. The number 2 is Mickey Panther, and the number 3, Big Vel Stevie, the number 2 horse owned by King Racing out of Wilshire, Ohio. And the number 1, Monaco Hanover, is a full brother to Mojoto Hanover that won 20 times and earned over $184,000.
And had a mark of 51-3, so that's kind of a nice horse. You can see why they went back to that Well Said. They had bred that mare to a few other horses, Western Ideal, Mach 3, Art Speak, but they came back to Well Said for this one. So that was probably we'll see how good of a idea that was.
Well, you know, you talked about Western Ideal. The best foal by Monte Carlo Madam is Palomar, who won over $262,000. So, you know, the Western Ideal or the Well Set are both, you know, going to give you some quality there. So let's head to the action for race number 8.
Speed picks up now as they go into the far turn. Monaco Hanover at the 3/4 around the far turn. At the 3/4 mark, 3/4 is on the board in 1:40, and Monaco Hanover leads the way. Here comes, moving on the outside, Vel Big Stevie. Mickey Panther is third. Through the stretch, Vel Big Stevie. Monaco Hanover battling back on the inside. Their strides apart. Monaco Hanover.
The winner of race number 8 was Monaco Hanover, the well-said 2-year-old colt owned by Michael Foster. Finishing second was Val Big Stevie. Mickey Panther finished third, and Susan Monaco Hanover went gate to wire for the win. But Val Big Stevie looked like he was shot out of a cannon coming around that final curve.
Yeah, he really made a strong effort at that. Quarter was in 34 and 2, half in 108, 3/4 in 140, and the mile in 2:10. So that's the last half in 2 and the last quarter in 30 seconds flat, and that was a good race.
It's nice for these young horses to see and go and hit the time bar that they're supposed to be hitting right on the 2:10 that time, but also to see them show a little bit of heart to try to battle there, and you like to see that early on in a young horse's career.
Yes, yep, that is important. They need that, and some of them don't have it right away. That guttiness, that will to win, but they will learn that. You know, it's not inherent in all of them. Some of them do have to learn it. What Monaco Hanover winning that race, and I said anytime you have Hanover on the back end of a horse's name, you know it's a special horse, as they are the leading breeders in North America for I don't know how many years.
Well, hopefully Michael Foster, the owner of Monaco Hanover, hopes that he has something special in that young 2-year-old colt. We're going to take a break now, but when we come back, Susan Schroeder earlier today caught up with a special guest who's known quite well around the Mercer County Fairgrounds. We'll be back after this.
Your animals provide unconditional love. When they hurt, you want the best care available to help them enjoy life again. The Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center is here for you and for them. From heart disease to cancer, diabetes to broken bones, and 24-hour emergency services, Ohio State's team of experts make a difference in the lives of animals and the family members who love them. The Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center.
We are back at the Mercer County Fairgrounds for the Celina Matinee here, and we ran into Elmer Colson, who is 81 years old and has been a fixture at this racetrack for many, many years. When did you start here, Elmer?
Oh, probably back in the early 80s, something like that. That's back in it might have been the early 80s. I started out here at the gate man down here. The old gates, you had to push them, old gates down, you had to pull them back, open, swing them all the way around. Then when the horses come out, you had 2 guys in each gate, and each guy in each gate had to pull them back and then shut them up. Then one night we was out here doing that, and 2 of the deputy sheriffs come out here that one night, and that one deputy sheriff walked up to me. He said, "You know what you're doing?" And I said, "Yeah, I know what I'm doing." I said, "I did this for many times. I know just like what to do." And then he walked away. Never come back and bothered me that night. I told him what I was doing. I know all about that.
So basically, you've been keeping all the horses and horsemen safe for over 50 years out here. Yeah. That is great. You also work for a lot of trainers here on the grounds.
I work for Bay Beams, and I work for Charlie Burrow. I work for quite a few people down there. And then I worked for another old man out here. His name was Slim McCain. He's a real nice old man. He had two horses that were sorrel color. And he bought them at the horse sale, and well, he brought them back, and he's come out and helped him train them. And one day he took them out to the fair, and both these horses won that day, and he come back that afternoon or that evening. The next day, he went up to the car dealer. He bought him a brand new 55 Chevy pickup truck.
Wow.
With that money he made off his horses that day at the fair, some fair around here.
Wow, that's interesting. I also understand that you have worked for multiple generations. So you worked for Grandpa and the son. So you've been around here a long time. Well, we sure appreciate the work that you've done here at the Mercer County Fairgrounds, and hope you'll be here for many more years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll send it back to Frank.
Thanks, Susan, a veteran of many days of racing around the Mercer County Fairground, and great to have guests like that on Matinee Madness. Race 9 about ready to go, and we'll have 4 horses in this race. The number 1 is Doo-Wop Bobby by Racing Hill, an $8,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale. The number 2 is Vels Sandy's Little Shooter by Straight Shooting. Number 3, Vels Miss Taylor by Ponder, and number 4, Vels EJ's Pro by Night Pro. And Susan, you think these horses all came from the same naming party?
Yes, absolutely. All those Vel horses. Yep, and they're all named like. There's a lot of them here. There are a lot. Vels EJ's Pro is by a horse called Night Pro, and Night Pro is a very special horse in my mind. It's made over $1 million, $1,034,000, still racing. Had a 3-year-old mark 149, so he had early speed, but he just has the consistency. Not only still racing, but then standing at stud besides. In 2019 and 21, he stood in Indiana, and in 20, he stood in Michigan. So he's breeding mares in the spring, and then he's back to the races and doing very well. He's a special horse.
And we're starting to see that a little more in Ohio. We've got that with Catch the Fire, who's also doing stud duty but also still on the racetrack. I know they had talked about doing that with Action Uncle as well. Action Uncle, though, last race out, another injury, waiting to find out about that. But, it seems that they're starting to do that a little more with some of these special horses.
Yeah, and now, Night Pro only moves from Indiana to Michigan, but those other horses you're talking about, some of them are going to Australia, New Zealand, and coming back. So that's a huge undertaking to get those horses to another continent.
Well, race 9 about to start. We'll pick up the action on race 9 from the Mercer County Fairgrounds.
Battling back in the inside, Vel EJ's Pro will need some racing room. Vel Miss Taylor. Doo-Wop Bobby trails the field by 3/4 and into the far turn. 3/4, 1:39 and 2. Round the far turn, Vel Sandy's Little Shooter has the lead. Out and moving on the outside, Vel Miss Taylor. Less than an eighth of a mile to come. Vel Miss Taylor, the filly by Ponders, closing in on the leader. Vel Sandy's Little Shooter, but it's Vel Sandy's Little Shooter.
Race number 9 is in the books, and the winner was Vel's Sandy Little Shooter. Second went to Vel Miss Taylor. Third place, Doo-Wop Bobby. And fourth, after a break in the final turn, was Vel's EJ's Pros. Final time, 2:08 and 4 in that race. Susan?
Quarter in 34 and 2, half in 105 and 4, 139 and 2, and 2:08 and 4.
Now we get set for the 10th race, and we'll have 5 in this field. 4 of them are 2-year-old fillies, and we will have 1 2-year-old geldings. The number 1 is Winder Prize by Enterprise, owned, driven, and trained by Ryan Miller of Greenville, Ohio. Paraso, the creatine filly, is number 2. Driver will be Dalton Walls, a part owner, also the trainer of Paraso. Number 3 is Dapo Tuto by Creatine as well. Ted Garan of Greenville, Ohio, drives, owns, and trains. The number 4 is Barbrain a Million, is a swan in a million. And the number 5 is Help Dust.
This is an interesting bunch of names.
Yes, it is.
I'm glad you said Dapo Tutu, because I didn't know how to even say that. But let's talk a little bit about that one horse, Winder Prize. Caught up with, actually it's Winner Prize. There is no D in that name. Caught up with Ryan Miller back at the barn area, and he said this horse has been a project. He said she was just awful to break. She just has a mind of her own. It took for months. It took 3 people to harness her. So it had one just to hold her and kind of pacify her, and 2 to try and get the harness on. She wouldn't take the bit at all. He said for those same months they had to take the bridle apart. So you have to take the bit off, put the bridle over the top of her ears, and then slide the bit back in. So she has really been a challenge, and didn't know what he was going to do with her because she was just so naughty. One day, and he said, I don't know why I decided to do this, but he hooked her to the race bike, and he said she went out there and went just as good as could be on the track. It completely changed her. Then he started turning her out, so every day she gets out in the field a little bit, and that has changed her, and she has gone from the bad project in the barn to one of the best fillies in the barn. She's been doing really good. He's already turned her in 212, and really looking forward to her, but that's just the patience it takes with some of these horses.
Well, earlier today you had a chance in the barn to catch up with Ryan Miller, and Winter Prize was making a little noise when the interview started. So let's take a look at that interview that Susan did earlier with Ryan Miller.
Hey, we are here at the Mercer County Fairgrounds. Somebody else wants to join in. We're with trainer Ryan Miller. And Ryan, you bring horses to matinees a lot of times before you get ready for the fairs and the pari-mutuel tracks. What do you think is important about the matinees?
Well, normally I don't have to leave home. You know, Greenville's got a beautiful matinee, and we do a good job there. But I had a couple I wanted to bring up today to Celina to show them the gate a little bit earlier. Ours got pushed back a week, and I actually got a Kentucky bred. Their fairs start really soon, so get them in behind the gate. It's a real relaxed setting, kind of like gate schooling, but it's obviously a little more than that. But it's just a good way to, get them behind the gate and let them see some new things. This was kind of nice for these two. They get to leave home, which they typically don't get to do very often. So first time they shipped and kind of figure it out.
I think that it's not just the racing that you're working on them, like you said, with the shipping and the whole experience for them.
Yeah. The 2 I brought up today, we're not trying to, set no track records or nothing like that. They're just going to go out there, try to behave, mind their manners, and try to learn how to be a racehorse for the first time. In the home, we're fortunate. We do got enough horses, enough babies. We're able to go in sets of 3 and sometimes 4. And it's not going to be much more than that today, but it's a little bit of a different experience. It's new drivers, and a lot of times at home, you keep your whip down and stuff like that. So they're not getting whipped in the face. Well, today they're not going to have that. They're going to have to actually learn how to be a racehorse, get some more dirt flipped in their face, and start to really become a racehorse. It's kind of it's exciting.
How many 2-year-olds are in your stable this year?
We got 10 this year. 10. I think 7 Ohio breds, 1 Kentucky bred, actually in Canada, but we'll probably be staying in Kentucky with her, and 2 Indiana breds this year.
Well, that must have kept you busy all winter.
Yep. Typically, we only have babies, 2 and 3-year-olds. We've got a couple race horses, but kept us very busy. I think we had 6 or 7 3-year-olds and 10 2-year-olds. So, yep.
That's a lot to keep going with. So that's trainer Ryan Miller, and back to you, Frank.
Well, let's pick up the action in the next race.
Midpoint of the backside, it is Paricio leading the way. Barbarina Million is second and now off stride. They circle the far turn. Paricio has the lead. Racing up on the outside from second, and after the leader is Winder Prize. Help Dust is third. Deputio is fourth. Barbarina Million trails the field off the turn. They on their way home, and Paricio has the lead. Winder Prize and Help Dust. Paricio and Dalton Walls.
In the 10th, Susan, it looked like the cream rose to the crop. The 2 high-priced sale horses came to the top and finished 1-2. Paricio finished number 1, and number 2 was Winner Prize. Finished second. Third, it was Help Dust, followed by Dupatudo, and then Barbera in a Million, I think is what we finally determined how that one was. There were a couple of extra letters in the name when we got the sheet, but Gator Dalton Walls took this creatine trotter to the victory, but winner prize by Enterprise really showed something at the end. We saw the movie made down the back stretch after the going to the 3/4 mark.
Yeah, that horse winner prize had been sitting fourth and just kind of smoked him up the backside. Quarter in 37 and 2, half in 110 and 4, 3/4 in 144, a mile in 216. So that's the last half in 5 and a piece. So that was, again, another good mile for these trotters.
Winner prize, the second place horse by Enterprise out of Lee's Little Sis. That's the first foal that mare has thrown. And Pariso, a $23,000 purchase at the Lexington sale, is out of Wingbat, who Pariso is her fifth foal, but he is the first one to make it to the track.
Oh. That's interesting.
Interesting that finally, she has 5. One finally gets there. But so that's a look at the 10th. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have our final 3 races of the day from the Mercer County Fairground in Celina, Ohio. After this.
Racing is back at Eldorado Scioto Downs. Catch the excitement all summer long. Live racing every Tuesday through Saturday afternoon. First post time is 3:15. Mark your calendar to see the future stars with a $150,000 Next Generation July 4th. 2-year-old trotters and pacers begin their careers in the next generation. Horse players earn points with a new Caesars Reward program. Eldorado Scioto Downs. Live racing is back.
Welcome back to the Mercer County Fairgrounds in Matinee Madness. I'm joined now by the hardest working photographer in the harness racing industry, Brad Conrad. Brad, how many places do you take pictures at tracks during the year?
Well, I'm at 3 of the 4 commercial harness racing tracks in Ohio, Scioto Downs, Dayton Raceway, and Miami Valley. And then I'm up to about 28 county fairs, I believe.
And you're out doing matinees today,
and
taking
I'm doing
pictures.
matinees in the spring, yep.
And how many do you have? You got, what, 5 matinees?
4 matinees.
4?
4, yeah. I'll be here today. Washington Courthouse next weekend, and the weekend after that is Greenville on Saturday and Urbana on Sunday.
What's the best part about your job?
The best part about my job is that you get to deal with everybody at the best part of their day, when they just want to race. In every race there's 8 or 9, 10 horses maybe. There's only one winner, and that's the people I get to deal with. And so naturally they're happy and they're in a good mood, and it's just a good experience for everybody. What
makes for a great harness racing picture?
For me, it's a great shot of the horse when it comes across the finish line. Just all stretched out, legs off the ground, just looking good. That's what makes it for me. It helps, of course, when the weather's nice, a bright sunny day, just everything just pops. And when there's a big group in the wind circle, too. That's the other half of it, too. You get the nice action shot of the finish line, but, you get everybody in the wind circle, and when the owners are there, they've got their friends there with them, it's a nice big crowd, everybody's happy, it just makes for a great shot.
Now, this is a family affair. You took over from your father, who was a photographer for many years at many tracks.
Yes, he was a photographer his entire life. He started when he was in high school. He built his own darkroom in the basement of his house and did all this stuff. He got involved with the guy who was shooting Scioto Downs in the late 1960s, early 70s. Worked with him, and then took over when that guy retired and did it ever since. And it just kind of built and built from there. We just kind of added more tracks. We had a professional color lab. That was kind of the main part of our business. We were doing professional, processing for other photographers. We did the processing for a lot of other racetracks, other racetrack photographers all over the country. And it kind of grew from there and just added more and more county fairs and the other tracks and just went from there. And I just grew right into it.
When did you join your father in the operation, and when did you take over?
It was when I was a teenager, when I was probably even before I could drive, he would take me into the office, into the lab, and teach me how to make the pictures. I was spending all day in the dark room, making we make all these photos by hand, and so it was all a custom process. So I was in the dark room all day, and then from there, once I could drive, I was going to fairs and things like that. I probably didn't really take over full time. I mean, my full-time job was still back in the lab mostly, but I'd say probably within the last 10 years or so, maybe 15, is when I started being at the track full-time, and he kind of stepped away from it.
I would think it's got to be a little easier nowadays with digital rather than sitting in that dark room.
Much. I mean, that was a long process. As I said, we did each one custom by hand. You were, sitting in a dark room with an enlarger, exposing the paper 3 different times for the finish line picture, the wind circle picture, all the writing that goes in the middle, and now I'm just sitting at my computer and editing everything on there, and a few clicks here to place it where you want to place it and send it to the printer.
Well, we're going to let you get back to work down on the track. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
Always a pleasure, Frank.
Let's take a look at the next race here from the Mercer County Fairgrounds.
Okay, we have race 11 coming up. This is a 2:10 to 2:15 pace. This is the Vel race, we're going to call it, because all 3 horses have that pronoun in their name. The one horse is Vel Magic Panther, a 2-year-old colt by Panther Hanover out of Isabella's Magic. 2 horses, Vel Dwayne, a 2-year-old colt by Night Pro out of Lick Creek Francis. The 3 horses Scratched. And the 4 horses, Vel Benji, a 2-year-old colt by Tell It Like It Is out of Keep It Fair. So let's pick up the action in race 11.
Showing away, Vel Dwayne. Vel Benji is second. Third, Vel Magic Panther. 3/4, 141 4. They're into the final turn. Vel Dwayne opens up a 3-4 lengths. Vel Benji and Vel Magic Panther. 1/8 of a mile to come as they come off the turn. It is all Vel Dwayne to take the 11th. Vel Dwayne, the 2-year-old colt, but Night Pro for Brad Ferguson.
3 started at race 11, but only 2 crossed the finish line. The winner was Vel Dwayne, the 2-year-old colt by Night Pro. Second went to Vel Magic Panther, owned by King Racing out of Wilshire, Ohio. And did not finish to the number 4 horse, Vel Benji, as the race bike got a flat tire. Obviously, Vel Benji thought there was pari-mutuel wagering, and Frank Frost had a ticket on him because that seems the way my luck goes. Broken equipment, flat tires, something where my horses never cross the finish line, and I end up just handing the ticket and ripping it up and saying, let's look to the next race. But with that, let's look to the next race, the 12th race that we have here.
I just want to mention quick, because this was a interesting race, this race 11. 1/4 in 35, half in 110, nice rated mile. 3/4 in 141 and 4 mile, and 2:11 and 1. They came last half in 1:1 and 1. And this, you could kind of see past the 3/4 pole where they were really picking it up. But this Vel Dwayne really opened up down the stretch, and that was a great mile, the last half in 1:1.
All right, well, let's move to race 12, where here we're going to see one of the foals out of the Super Stud down by the seaside, the number 4 Monkey See, Monkey Do, and the C for Monkey See is spelled SEA in honor of Down by the Seaside. The number 1 is Vel Big Bruiser, a 2-year-old colt by Straight Shooting out of Bruiser's sister. Number 2 is Tell Me Lies by Tell It Like It Is out of Up Front Sharon. Number 3, Sugar Britches, the 2-year-old filly by All Bets Off out of Ship's Exclaimer. And the number 4, the aforementioned Monkey See, Monkey Do by Down by the Seaside out of Monkeys Can Sing.
Monkey See, Monkey Do was a $30,000 Ohio Select sale purchase, and is the 9th foal out of Monkeys Can Sing, and the 2nd by Down by the Seaside.
Full brother to Catamaran, who paced 154 and 3 as a 2-year-old, and already this year has knocked a tick off of that down to 154 and 2. Monkey See, Monkey Do, owned by Rob Rodriguez out of Versailles, Ohio, trained and driven today by Dalton Walls. Earlier we talked to Ryan Miller. He owns, drives, and trains that number 3 Sugar Britches, Ryan out of Greenville, Ohio.
Yeah, and something interesting, we were looking up these horses. This the mare, the dam of Sugar Britches, is Ship's Exclamation, and she was bred to 2 stallions in 2019 in that breeding year. So you don't see that very often, where 2 different stallions, but she obviously did not catch to the first one, so they tried another one, and she did, and Sugar Britches is the result.
And so Sugar Britches is the number 3. Monkey See, Monkey Do, number 4. So keep an eye on those 2 here in the 12th. Let's pick up the action.
Down the backside they go. Monkey See, Monkey Do, but 3 lengths. Racing second. As they race to 3/4 mark is Tell Me Lies. They're into the far turn. Moving 3 wide on the outside is Big Bruiser. 3/4 in 1:38 and 2. Monkey See, Monkey Do, clinging to that lead. Right there, second is Tell Me Lies, Sugar Britches, and Big Bruiser. They're off the turn. They're on their way home. The Down by the Seaside. Monkey See, Monkey Do has the lead for Dalton Walls. It is all Monkey See, Monkey Do.
In the 12th, it was all Monkey See, Monkey Do, winning in 2:07 and 2. Second went to Tell Me Lies. Sugar Britches was third, and Big Bruiser was fourth. And coming to the half, Monkey See, Monkey Do made it look easy, and then basically said, I'm the class of this field.
Yeah, they went to the quarter in 34, half in 1:07, 3/4 1:38 and 2. And a mile in 2:07 and 2. So last quarter in 29, last half in 1 minute and 2/5. Really was an impressive performance.
Yeah, they said Dalton Walls was trying to scream to the horse to slow down a little coming down in the stretch, as well under the time bar, which was set at 2:10. But, Monkey See, Monkey Do showed, again, what Down by the Seaside is doing, and just the class.
Yes.
Class act right there. So Monkey See, Monkey Do by Down by the Seaside out of Monkeys Can Sing, the winner in the 12th. And now we are to our final race of the matinee here at the Mercer County Fairgrounds in Celina, Ohio. This race has 3. It'll be a 2:30 to 2:35 time bar, and it says trot and pace. So I think we're going to have 2 of one and 1 of the other in this. So we've got the number 1 is Do-Rod Charger by Mr. Wiggles out of Fan Club Hanover. Number 2 is Possessed You, a 2-year-old colt by You Know You Do out of Classical Beauty. And the number 3 is Janice Goal, a 3-year-old filly by Spring Goal out of Real Jinx.
And this the 3-year-old, this is her first start. So it'll be just like she's a baby.
Paid $5,500 at the Buckeye Classic sale for her, owned by David Brumbar of Arcanum, Ohio. As they are getting ready to go for this, the final race from the Mercer County Fairgrounds. Let's pick up the action.
Do-Rod Charger will take the field by 3/4, 1:53. Janice Goal on the outside second. Possessed You third with an 1/8 of a mile to come. Do-Rod Charger, Janice Goal, Possessed You in that order. Less than an 1/8 of a mile. Do-Rod Charger, Janice Goal on the outside. They're stride for stride. Do-Rod Charger, Janice Goal is on the grandstand side. It is Janice Goal.
That'll wrap it up from the Mercer County Fairgrounds, as race 13 is in the book, the only pacer in the race. Do-Rod Charger is the winner, pacing in 2:28. It was Janice Goal finishing second, and Possessed You was third in the final race of the day.
Went down to the quarter in 37 and 2, half in 1:15, 3/4 1:53, and a mile in 2:28.
So Do-Rod Charger by Mr. Wiggles out of Fan Club Hanover gets the win in our final race. And Susan, that'll wrap it up for today for our first Matinee Madness. Nice to be back out at a fairgrounds, isn't it?
It is. It is great. And there was a nice crowd here today. The 50-50, I think, paid, $265? So that's a good little piece to put in the Mercer County Horseman's pocket to do some more improvements out here. They take great care of this fairgrounds.
This is the first of our Matinee Madness. We'll be at Washington Courthouse next Sunday for their matinee, and then we've got a couple after that, and want to make sure you join us every Tuesday night for Matinee Madness. But don't forget, we have Freshman Focus on Thursday night here on our Facebook page, and our guest this Thursday, Roger Houston, sits down with Chris Beaver. So it'll be interesting to hear from the king of the trotter trainers,
yes.
Chris Beaver, with the great trotting stable that he has. So any final thoughts on a great day, great weather, great racing?
Yes, and I don't want anybody to be discouraged, because remember, Rambling Willie raced here his first start and finished last. So, and look what he went on to do.
Exactly. Great history here at the Mercer County Fairgrounds. We want to thank Rusty Voris as well as the entire Mercer County Harness Horsemen's Association for their hospitality today, helping us make this possible. For Matt Clark, Susan Schroeder, I'm Frank Froz. Join us next week when we visit Washington Courthouse for their matinee here on Matinee Madness. Have a great evening, everybody. Good night. This has been Matinee Madness. Matinee Madness is presented by the Ohio State University Veterinary Medical Center and Eldorado Scioto Downs. Matinee Madness is a presentation of the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association.